Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday at 12:30, which means People to People is live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn now with their employment market update. Now, I've realised this week that 12:30 in Sydney is actually, we've got offices across 5 different time zones. So it's actually 2:30 in Auckland, 12:30 in Sydney, and I think it's midday in Adelaide, 11:30 in Brisbane, which is where I am today. Whereas I know I said last week that we would be broadcasting from the Western Sydney office, and I just happened to be in Brisbane for our strategy day this week. And then, of course, we've got Perth, which is 10:30 in the morning. So welcome, everybody, to the broadcast today. The other thing I wanted to mention before we get into the details, it is actually Lunar New Year. So Happy New Year to everybody. Here's a couple of pics from the Sydney New Year last year. I think it's called Tet for Vietnam as well, but I think these pictures are from down in Chinatown. So not exactly COVID friendly, that one, but there'll be lots of celebrations across Sydney this week. It's the Year of the Ox. So I've got a couple of pictures here. So the first one says that you may have to work a little harder than usual in the Year of the Ox, but the rewards will be worth the effort. Exercise your physical and mental self for a healthy 2020. And there's one more I think I've got. There it is. Year 21 promises to be a highly fruitful year for the Ox with a lot of cheer and power. And I thought this is why I wanted to put this one up here. Professionals will be rewarded financially. Anyway, from everything that I've read about the Year of the Ox, it's got to be better than the Year of the Rat, which was last year, which just seems to be a little bit appropriate. So let's get into it. So now what we're going to do today is we're going to cover off our regular numbers section as we normally do. Then we'll be chatting with Alia Sipos from our temp team in Sydney. She's got a couple of opportunities to talk to us about. Then we'll be crossing to Bianca Luck from our Sydney team as well, just to revisit the temp of the month, and I'm sure she'll give us a market update as well. So, of course, then please pop them in the comments either on any of the whichever channel that you're watching us from. We can see them live, and we'll respond to them as quickly as we can. So let's firstly get into our numbers section, our regular numbers section. We're going to concentrate specifically this week on unemployment. So we've got a couple of slides on unemployment, which the numbers were released during the break whilst we weren't actually live. And it is good news. So let's start with just the basic table of information so that Jaden's put up here for us. And you can see that the key numbers there, that the unemployment rate for December went down from 6.8 to 6.6%. That's good. Now, if you remember, the original forecasts in the middle of 2020 was that the unemployment rate would get to about 7.5%. Most commentators, including those in Treasury, are backing away from that number now. I think I was bold in my predictions in a blog post I wrote a few weeks ago that the unemployment rate would drop sharply into the new year and then probably come back a little bit as the stimulus that the government has put in is eased, and we'd end on 6.4. I'm already doubting that. I think that the recovery is moving a lot more quickly, and you can see that also in the participation rate as the participation rate goes up to 66.2%. If we move to the next slide, you can sort of get a picture of where we're at with unemployment on it graphically. You know, it sounds good that it's 6.6%, but if you go back 10 years ago, we are still at the highest level of unemployment that we've experienced in the last decade. The sharp rise, but we're now seeing the decline. It would be great if we could drop even further. And the real question for all of us is how quickly that unemployment will drop. Will it be U-shaped or V? So let's move to the next slide if we can, Jaden. This is, I thought, interesting just in terms of the actual number of people employed in the workforce. And you can see that was sharp decline, but that there's been a V-shaped recovery in the actual number of people working. So instead of we're talking about percentages and proportions of the workforce, the actual number of the people working seasonally adjusted is returning close to where we were pre-COVID. And that's playing out, and when we talk to the guys about our market in terms of the availability of talent too, we're starting to see that the market is tightening up a little bit. If we move to the last slide, because that sounds like it's all good news. I also wanted to show this, though. This is actually the monthly hours worked in all jobs, seasonally adjusted. The bar graphs are the yearly change and the actual hours worked. So you can see that it has recovered remarkably, but it's not back to where it was. And the other interesting point I'd like to make here is that you can see that hours worked peaked in December or around that 2018. It started to flatten out. So the economy was already starting to change in 2019, and it was certainly the experience of people to people. And then we've obviously experienced COVID, and we're on the way out. So that's it for the numbers section. Heaps to talk about in terms of numbers. So over the next few weeks, I'll be bringing more of that. But whilst I take a seat, we've got a short video from Aidan Boast, which is a job hunting tip. So let's see that, and we'll be back in a second with Alia.
Hi everyone, wanted to give you a tip, no matter what level, what position, where you're currently at in your career, which could potentially change a lot in your career. So have you ever been at work and had situations where things have happened and not gone your way and you don't quite understand why, and the question you really want to ask is why? Well, here's what you need to do. Ask why, and don't be afraid to ask. Recently, Remy from our super marketing team at P2P shared a post from TED Talks, which hosted Jia Zhang, who explained that he spent 100 days testing rejection. One of the things which I really picked up from there is that he asked the question why every time he got rejected. This way he could understand more around the communication of why he was rejected rather than just walking away. Jar seeked rejection for 100 days, for example, asking a stranger for $100, and discovered that not only asking for what you want can open up possibilities, but asking why can lead to you to better places than just walking away. I've tried it a few times and really surprised me with the outcome. So next time you're rejected, ask why, see what happens. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please let me know how you go.
Yeah, some good advice there from Aidan. And hello, Alia. Great to see you back on Facebook on Friday.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Now you've obviously so you've got an opportunity for us. But before you talk about the jobs that you've got, I'd really like to ask about what's the temp market like in Sydney right now?
The market is actually looking quite good for the specialist team. We're seeing a lot of reception roles coming through and quite a lot of administration roles coming through. A little bit quieter on the customer service front, but as we move further into the year, those roles will start to come up into play. And we're also seeing that businesses are looking at growing their numbers with a few talent acquisition roles coming through. So a lot of things in the pipeline at the moment, which is quite good news at the start of the year.
So you're feeling good, hey?
Feeling quite good.
You're feeling quite good.
Yeah. Both Brooke and I are ready to get in, and it's going to be a great year this year. I just have that feeling.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let's talk. Tell me about these jobs that you'd like to mention.
Perfect. So I have two opportunities. The first one is a ward administrator role. It's a 10-week assignment, and it's located in the CBD, so it's within the medical field. It's up to $30 per hour, and it's quite a manual role. So a lot of these patient files are tangible documents and need to be moved from one area to the next. It's pretty much to start as soon as possible. It's working Tuesdays to Fridays, 8:30 to 6:30. There are a few requirements for this particular assignment. So a background check and working with children's check needs to be completed. And also a TB and a hepatitis B shot is required for this role as well. So there are some, I guess, elements there that we need to consider.
Well, I mean, these days, vaccines, shots, who's going to be scared of that?
With COVID around, definitely. And then I have a reception role, which is to start Thursday next week until the end of the month. It's working for a large FMCG company, so corporate reception role. So if anyone's out there in the market, immediately available, please give me a call on 02-8270-9727. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, do we have your contact details, maybe Jaden? If people? So it's interesting though. So there's these jobs that you've got. I can see that the phone number's gone up in the comments there.
Perfect.
So these roles are Does the person need to be immediately available?
For the ward administration role, yes, definitely
Right.
someone who is immediately available and has all those background requirements done. The reception role, look, if you have an assignment first couple of days of the week for next week, that's okay. This role's only to start on Thursday, but we will need your commitment right up until the end of the month, which I think is the 26th. 26.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, good. The reason I asked that question is that some people have never really done temp work before, so immediately available for some people might be, in a couple of weeks' time. But
Yes.
It's now, isn't it? You've got to be able to, I'm ready, I'm putting the jacket on, I'm out.
And out the door, exactly, yes, as soon as possible. Yeah.
Fabulous, fantastic. All right, well, thank you very much, Alia. Thanks for joining us today. Please get in touch with Alia if you've got any questions about those specific roles, or indeed, if you are immediately available and looking for work right now, with the markets moving, I think you should jump on the phone and have a chat to Alia.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's move on. And now let's talk a little bit about Temp of the Month, which is something that we do on a very regular basis, obviously every month. And the person who always announces those winners is Bianca Luck. G'day, Bianca.
Hello, Mark. How are you going?
I'm very well. I'm in Brisbane, and that's why I'm feeling a little bit naked without my tie. But we'll talk about ties in a second, I think.
Yes, you do look a little bit naked. You always have a tie on, don't you? So it's a bit unusual.
So, Temp of the Month. Tell us about what Temp of the Month is, how people can get nominated, and that sort of thing.
Great. So Temp of the Month is a great process. So we're relaunching it for 2021. It's really easy to nominate a temp. So for all hiring managers, when you go in to jump in to approve a timesheet, a little pop-up box will appear, and that's from our robot, Pete. And Pete will say, do you want to nominate this temp of the month? And all you need to do is say the temp's name and a little bit about why you're nominating them. So 1 or 2 lines. Then they go into a draw and they get chosen. And the chosen winner for each different office gets a prize delivered by their consultant. So we're relaunching it.
And a shout out by you on
and shout out by me. That's right. That's right. So some of the words that we had last year were amazing. Things like absolute rock star, best ever, 100% reliable, hardest working person, diligent, makes me happy, everybody wants this temp. So it makes me really happy when I hear words like that, because it means that we're making really good placements and making our clients happy, because it's making them look good as well.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Okay. So now, while I've got you, then I know you've always got jobs that you're working on, but you want to talk about a couple of those. But how's your market? What's happening in your space at the moment?
Thanks for asking, Mark. It's busy. It's really busy. It's almost like a lot of our clients that have over pruned the olive tree in 2020. Their survivors or the existing people left in the business have been working harder than ever, and they're at breaking point. So this is good news for temps. So it means that the temp market is busy. We've got lots of work on. We've got a variety of different roles. I'll talk about a handful of roles that we're working on at the moment. I'm recruiting 6 roles for a client due to a system upgrade. So system upgrades and implementations are coming back because businesses have more money to spend because they've cut their expenses from last year. And there's 6 exclusive roles working for one property company to start as soon as possible for 3 months. And it's a reconciliation project. So it's reconciling a set of data, so balance sheets from one system to the new system. And you pretty much need to start as soon as possible. So in the next week or so, and it's working a hybrid role between the office and also from home. The hourly rate's $30.50. And I think Jaden's going to be putting up a link. So if you want to apply,
he's done that now. Yeah. So
certainly apply, because there's 6 roles there. You have 6 times the chances, which is awesome. Another
it's been a while since we've heard that sort of thing, haven't we? Where a client has said, "Okay, we need a project team. Here we go." So it's good news for 21 for sure.
Exactly, because a lot of the projects were canned last year because of budget restrictions. Interesting too, a lot of the management reporting roles are coming back, and management reporting, unfortunately, and analysts are the first to go during a downturn. So I'm recruiting 2 management reporting roles, one to work in government and one to work in a commercial business, another property business. I seem to do a lot of property recruitment. So if you are a management reporting with a management accountant with really good, strong budgeting and variance analysis and forecasting experience, reach out to me, because I'm really keen at reading your resume, and I'll have a chat to you about those roles. So apply. Jaden will put a link in through the stream as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, well, thank you, B, for joining us again today. You're a regular. Once a month we get to see you. So
I know.
And,
I love it.
There's the management accounting job I've just has just popped up as well. All right, thanks very much, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See you.
So,
Bye.
The last thing that I wanted to talk about is obviously our regular Twitter poll. And so last week we had a random question, which was about coming back to work. And here it is: your reaction looking at your full inbox the first day back at work. So were you silently screaming, laughing out loud, possibly hysterically, bursting into tears, or getting the work done? And we had about 600, or just under 700 people. It's a Twitter thing, so it's not exactly demographically sound, but of our Twitter followers, we had about 600 or 700 people respond. Here are the results. Right, so it turns out that 43% of people were silently screaming, but I think although it was the lowest number, was laughing out loud, and it always reminds me of this video from Spain. Have you got that, Jaden? Can you imagine this? I reckon that was me when I opened my inbox straight after I got back to work in 2021. Anyway, so what's this week? So there's been a little bit of controversy this week. I don't know if you've seen it. For those of us who follow New Zealand news, there was an MP in New Zealand, and certainly our New Zealand office were all over this as well. There was an MP who was kicked out of the New Zealand Parliament for not wearing a tie. God forbid. Now, I did some work on this a little while ago, and Jaden, you could pop it up. There was a blog that I wrote back in 2017, and we actually ran a Twitter poll back in 2017 about whether you should actually wear a tie. And I have actually been abused here in Brisbane for wearing a tie with a jacket, walking down in February, so in that sort of heat here in Brisbane, and somebody called me an undertaker. But I think you should wear a tie. So here is this week's Twitter question. Ties at work? Yeah, nah. Let's see what the results are, and we'll compare it to 2017 and see if it's changed. Just go to @people2people on Twitter. Please vote there, and we'll share the results next week. That's it for Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube for People to People this week. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you again 12:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time next week for another update.